What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Phase 6, your source for music, business, motivation, and support. It's your boy, Sirr Love, and welcome back to Phase 6. I'm ready to talk to you guys about some great stuff. We've been talking about work for hires and producer agreements. We're going to keep going on with that line of conversation. So I'm getting ready to tell you guys the difference between a work for hire and a producer agreement. We talked about producer agreements. We talked about work for hire. Now let me just lay out the pros and cons just in case those two videos made you not too sure about which route to go going forward. Let's do it. All right, so pros and cons. You know what work for hire is. You know what a producer agreement is. If you do not know what those two things are, I suggest you watch the two previous videos I did before watching this video so you can understand what a producer agreement is and you can understand what a work for hire agreement is at the root. Okay, now basically you guys know what both parties are, so I don't have to tell you the pros of both because I broke down the pros. I really have to tell you in what situation do you use one versus the other. So let's get into it. So times to use a work for hire. Times to use for work for hire, perfect situations when a producer is making a beat. I mentioned this before, a producer is making a beat and they bring somebody else in to add instrumental value to the track. They're gonna either play it, they're gonna do some live instrumentation on the record, and they want to retain ownership of the record instead of giving some small percentage to the musician. This is a perfect time for a work for hire. The producer will offer the musician a work for hire. They will give them, a check or some type of fee, and they'll wash their hands with it. It's their record going forward. They don't have to put the instrumentalist's name on the credits or anything of that nature, unless the instrumentalist made those type of requests or requirements in which they might have modified the work for hire agreement. Typically, it wouldn't be work for hire. You would go into the realm of some type of producer agreement, work for hire hybrid. But typically a work for hire, you don't have to even mention that person in the credits, going forward. It was just your production. All right. Another scenario in which a work for hire makes sense. A songwriter is writing a song, but they don't know how to sing. To prevent these type of situations, it's great for a songwriter to do a work for hire with a vocalist before even going into the studio. Say, hey, listen, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars for X amount of hours of your time. And I just want you to go in the studio, read this. I've already kind of demoed the record a little bit. I just want it to sound better. Demoing the record is when a singer goes in and records the record so people knows the melody, the notes, and how it's supposed to feel, the emotion, and all those different type of things, the stacks, the layers. That's called demoing the record. If you suck at singing, it may not be a good demo, so you may bring someone else in to demo the record. You give them a work for hire before they even start recording the records to make sure that they know up front they get no say-so, they get no ownership. They're just going to get a check for their time. You pay them $100, they recorded the record, they're gone. It's just a demo as far as they're concerned. You're going to sell the record. Someone else is going to re-sing the song that you wrote because now they understand how it goes. And bada bang, bada boom, this is the perfect time to use a work for hire because that person that demoed the record can come back and say, oh man, but I'm the one that invented that run. When you wrote the song, it was like lady ooh, but I made it go lady ooh. I can't sing, don't clown, but just those couple different note variations. Legally, you can't copyright those type of things, but it won't stop somebody from having you in court over it, okay? Especially if it's the end of a record, it's an R&B song, and they get the yelling at the end of the record and ad-libbing and adding their own swag to the record. They're adding sauce on that record, and that sauce is gonna cost. Understand what I'm talking about? So work for hire help prevent those situations. Now, producer agreements. The time to use a producer agreement is any single time that you as a artist get a track from a producer and you owe them money in the future or you owe them some type of credit in the present for what you're getting ready to do with their record. It makes sense to do a producer agreement. A lot of times producer agreements are perfect for when you're doing a mixtape. You don't have no money right now. I don't know if this record's gonna go. I don't know if it's gonna pop. I can't give you nothing today, but what I can give you is a promise that if the record does go, you're gonna make X amount of dollars off the record. I'm gonna owe you the record, money on the record if it hits this milestone. You guys get to talk about that milestone. Is that milestone if it hits radio, if it gets X amount of spins on radio, if it gets X amount of plays via Spotify and everybody else, streams, if it gets X amount of whatever the variable you guys are going to set at the point that you hit that mark, you owe them money and you gotta pay out. And if you don't pay out, they can take you to court over it. I guess it is similar to what you would see in like exclusivity contracts from like beats and producers online, but you know, it just kind of differs on what those things say. However, this makes sense for the artist to sign with the producer. It also makes sense for the producer to sign with the artist. The producer gets some type of promise, a guarantee that there is going to be money, there is light at the end of the tunnel, right? Something they can hold over the artist and that company's head to get their check down the line. And if it's the artist can loosen it up and make the producer say, hey man, I know you want $2,000 for this beat, but I only got $500 right now, and that's all I'm gonna give you, but what can we work something out? This is the agreement that lets you get stuff for the free or get stuff for the cheap that's supposed to cost more, because you're giving them an agreement or a promise saying if the record does what it's supposed to do, you're gonna give them what they're supposed to get. So those are the different instances in which you're supposed to use the two documents. I don't suggest, you know, using them in any other way. I don't suggest as an artist, you go into a producer and trying to give them a work for hire agreement and take all their royalties and ownership from them. Hey, it's your world. You can do what you want to do. If the producer agrees, that's fine. As a producer, I don't suggest that you do, you know, a producer agreement with the person that came in and did instrumentals on your record. I mean, because now that's going to hold you up. If the record gets picked up by a movie or gets picked up by a television show or something of that nature, every person on the master, every person on the copyright has to sign off on the record and approve it going to that movie, which means if you got 20 people on the record, you got to get in contact with all 20 of those people, and you got to get everyone to sign release forms and everyone to approve everything. And you know, if everyone's not with the same publishing company, everyone may not be with the same PRO, and it might be this whole thing. And typically the way that movies work and television work is that they'll let you know, hey, I need this, and they have 3 days, and you got 3 days to get this back to me, or it's not going to happen. Like, something about the television, music is always a last thing that they do. Music happens in post-production when they're editing the film toward the end. They're pushed up against all these deadlines because while they were shooting, they ended up behind and more behind. So by the time the music people have it, they have very harsh deadlines. And when they reach out to you and say, hey, we love this song, we need it in 48 hours. We need everything cleared. I need the instrumental and the track and everything cleared in 48 hours. If you don't make it, we're picking somebody else. And you got 20 people to wrangle together because you decided to have 6 songwriters on the record and 3 or 4 people helping make it the beat. I mean, that's just advice for you guys down the line to avoid the bush. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why work for hires makes sense. And that's the reason why publishing companies come in and sign everybody and take all the publishing and have full ownership so they can have full control over the record. Speaking of, that's what we need to talk about the next time. Talk about publishing agreements. Since we're talking about contracts 101, just brief understanding, high level understandings of contract. That's what we're going to jump into next. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to make sure, like I said before, that both agreements are available on the site and that both agreements have some type of explanation video or some type of explanation text that explains to you either line by line or paragraph what these different things mean, so that if you guys have to use them going forward, you can be 100% confident in what you're handing over, what it means, and what you are getting yourself into. You can either sit the other person down, have them watch these videos, y'all watch it together, hand them the agreement, watch the agreement video, and both of you guys or all parties involved have complete understanding of what's going on and what's transpiring and why and who it makes sense to, and you guys can go forth and win. Now, I don't know everything, but I do know a lot about a little and a little bit about a lot, and when I get in front of this camera, I just try to give you guys everything that I got. So please share, please subscribe. If you're still watching this right now, that means I added a lot of value to you guys. So hit the subscribe button, share this, let other people that are in the music space know that this type of information is out there and available for them, because the more people that understand the business, the more people that you're going to run into that are going to allow you to be more successful going forward. You won't have to deal with BS down the line from people fighting over kibbles and bits and preventing success like crabs in a bucket because cats don't understand how the money works and how situations work. So I don't know everything, but I'm beamed in. I want you guys to beam in too. Go to the website, www.phasevi.com, PHASEVI.com. Follow me on Instagram, like, subscribe, hit the text button. I'm out of here. It's your boy, Sirr Love. Deuces.